All right, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining the call. And welcome to our webinar on digital integration management, how you can manage APIs and integrations with APM's digital integration management solution. All right, there may be some forward-looking statements in this webinar, so just want to make people aware of that. And we want to give you the opportunity to join us at future webinars and 360 exchanges. You can scan the QR code on the screen to see the schedule, and there will be a link that will be provided in today's chat for you to sign up to our future sessions. All right, just a few housekeeping items. We have saved time at the end for Q&A. You should see a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen that will allow you to go into that interface and ask questions. You may get live answers during the course of the webinar, but like I said, we have saved time at the end so that anything that doesn't get answered during the webinar will be answered at the end. We will also be recording this presentation and sharing it on ServiceNow community. So either if you have colleagues that would like to see it, if you'd like to share it out to other folks, or it's something you want to review, it will be available. And then after the event, you will be prompted to fill out a short survey. And we really appreciate your feedback if you'd be able to provide it. All right, just a few introductions. My name's Rob Erickson. I'm a Principal Product Success Manager with ServiceNow in our Strategic Portfolio Management area. And I am joined by Mark Casteau, who is also a Principal Product Success Manager in SPM, and also our preeminent APM expert on the team.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
All right. And we do have a poll question to start out here. First, just to find out, are you managing a catalog of APIs and microservices today? So ask if you provide your answer to that, whether you are or are not doing that, and basically just kind of some of the specifics around if you are managing things. And we'll give another minute or so for folks to answer that question. And we're seeing a good spread of answers. A lot around B and C, I think, is where we're seeing the primary answers.
Yep. And that's been our experience in working with customers, and actually experience over the years as well.
Okay, I think we're good there. Can go ahead and end the poll. And share the results. So yeah, it's very interesting. We see a very like an exact spread from A, D, and E, but then the majority in B and C.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for sharing with us.
All right. So here are the objectives of today's workshop. So it's our hope we'll have knowledge and material to utilize APM's digital integration management solution. So here are some of those steps. First, where are interfaces, APIs, and integrations? Who owns them and what do they do? How you can build a catalog of your interfaces and integrations and manage them in ServiceNow APM. And then managing the design level notions of digital interfaces and integrations and tie them to operations aspects. And with that, I'd like to pass things over to my partner here, Mark Casteau, to talk about digital integration management.
Thanks, Rob. So welcome, everybody. We want to talk about APM's digital integration, digital interface management facility. And thinking back to the poll and what we were looking at there, there's clearly a need. The digital integrations are incredibly important as a part of our IT enterprise. So we've created a design level capability to build and manage that catalog. The next. So Why does this matter? What, why did we do this? Why do you need it? So microservices, web services, integrations, they're it's the connective tissue. It's the bloodlines between all of your enterprise systems. It's how we architect our systems nowadays. And if you don't have a practice of cataloging these and understanding where they are, what they do, who owns them, how they're constructed, how do you manage it? You can't. You have chaos. You are creating duplicate APIs. You have APIs that are critical, but you don't know where they are and who owns them. You don't know what they're doing, so that if they fail, you don't know why something's gone down. Again, it's all of this risk mitigation to understand where your things are, how they're constructed, and understand it in the context of not just the individual microservice, but understand it in the context of these enterprise systems that are using them, how they interconnect. So quite often what we see companies are documenting in a design doc. So Jira users, you'll have Confluence, and your developers, they go out and they do their design docs in Confluence. They got stories and they go build it and it does what it does. You cannot analyze a Word document. You can't track and rationalize. You can't do, there's so many things that you cannot do with just a bunch of words. Yeah, you could put Gen AI against it and try to derive some sort of statistics, but that's kind of nuts. Set it up so that you have a formal, consistent, and analyzable catalog of your crucial enterprise assets, these microservices, these APIs. And what we're doing with digital interface, digital integration management is design level. We want to identify ownership, business criticality. We want to capture architectural artifacts. So design documents, we have a way to do it. If you do them over in Confluence, we got a way just to associate it so everything's tied together. We're not saying you have to build those artifacts in ServiceNow, though in the future we will have modeling tools to help you do so. But we capture those artifacts and other such non-discoverable type metadata so that you have a clear picture of what these things are.
Okay, great. So I'm still a little confused though. Within ServiceNow, what's the difference between a digital interface and a digital integration?
So digital interfaces, we needed a generic term. So API, that really is a contract, an application programming interface. That's just saying there's a contract. A particular API could manifest in many different ways. It might have a JSON version, an XML version. It might have a REST version and a SOAP version. And so API was not a good name. It's an interface. It could be as complex as, SOAP, REST type APIs, those sort of, the modern service level architecture, service oriented architecture, or it could be old school. It could be a system that generates a comma separated file, ships it over to a file share, and then other applications pick up this CSV file. So we accommodate generically the ability to provide an interface for data going outbound or data coming in. It doesn't have to, the direction is specified, as we'll see down at the integration level. The interface is the mechanism by which information, data, process, whatever can be communicated and transferred. So by the way, it's not limited to just data, although that's probably the most common, but there could be process level APIs, process level interfaces. Kind of things we're capturing: versioning, ownership, functional protocol message format, auth, architectural artifact. We're coming soon, we'll be able to show the information objects. We already do information objects on integration, and then CI alignment to the actual operational classes. If you're not familiar, there are some new CI classes in the CMDB, starting with CMDB CI API, just to represent APIs, and then there's a set of other classes in CMDB to represent the structure of the actual discoverable deployments of APIs. Digital integration is a subscriber. It is the one that is utilizing this digital interface. We cover much of the same stuff, but the functional is a little different. Data flow direction, triggers, schedules, response, interaction type, middleware. Those are the kinds of things that we capture on the integration, because an API could be consumed differently per integration. There might be multiple ways to get at it. And that's part of what we're expressing. Also, there's the business impact of the criticality to the consuming system. Remember, this is a kind of a consumer side concept. And then, of course, architectural artifacts, information object representing the information that is exchanged. CI relationships, when you create a interface and it's tied to a business application, and you create an integration, it's tied to a business application, under the hood, we will automatically create a dependency line between the two business applications so you see it. Digital interface, digital integration are not CIs, but you do create the relationship so that you have it.
Okay, well, that's a great segue into my next question. So what is the relationship between these digital interfaces and integrations and business applications in APM?
So first off, we made a conscious decision that digital interfaces and integrations do not have to be associated to a business application. They don't have to, but it probably makes sense. Is these enterprise systems that are represented by your business applications, they're either providing or consuming these interfaces and or they manifest the integration, and you want to know how it hooks up. But if your goal is to first catalog everything, or perhaps you have hundreds of integrations and you just want to get them captured, you're not concerned yet with how they're being used, or perhaps you're going to capture that at the operational level, we don't require you to do so. If you do so, the data model allows you to define a digital interface at both the providing and subscribing business application, and sitting in between is what we call the digital integration. We're going to show you a picture of the data model in a moment. So this allows you to, the point is we want to make sure that you have the capability of not, in the past, we often will see people, and we've even prescribed it, you would create a business application for a microservice. We don't want you to have to do that anymore. This is a better alternative, and it does have some great, first off, it keeps your application count down. And if you're on a per application licensing, it keeps your license costs down. So it is a better way to do it, and it really is more expressive of what we're doing, what we're modeling. Remember, we're modeling our world with APM. We're modeling the top, the conceptual side of it. Does that help, Rob?
Absolutely, thanks. All right.
So digital interface, here's a screenshot. We're going to do a demo in a moment and show you, but it's pretty simple, straightforward. Got numbers, we got versioning, we got life cycles. We can identify the software model for the integration software that's being used. We have the providing application type of interface and parents. So you can have a hierarchy of APIs. You might have a parent, and then it would have multiple children serving different purposes, or maybe they have different means by which you access them, and that. We'll look at the actual attributes here when we do the demo. And then obviously at the bottom, you got a list of subscribers, digital integrations. You also have those child digital interfaces. And then finally, architectural artifacts, which hopefully you're all aware. We're using that everywhere. It becomes a formal way for enterprise architecture and solution architecture to put a process around the design level of things. If you require certain artifacts to be like a design document, some sort of security compliance document, that sort of thing, you capture those and you can manage the architectural design level of these interfaces. Next, please. Digital integration, again, it's the consumer. We have numbering so that there's a kind of a universal friendly ID. We have the providing digital interface. That's the API, microservice, whatever it might be. We have the providing business application. Those are, again, are pulled by that associated. It's associated through the interface. If you have a subscriber side digital interface, it would be identified there. And then finally, we have the subscriber business application. So again, those are optional. You can see they're optional. Fill in what services do. Of course, with anything in this, you want to be consistent in how you model it so that all the records mean the same kind of thing. We also have typing. These are the process integration, data integration, and we have a variety of attributes, ownership, that business impact, then the functional, and then finally architectural artifacts again and information objects. Next, if you would. So here's kind of a summary. It's not a real ERD, but it's more of a summary of the data model. Business application, again, it's optional. Here we have, starting on the left, we have digital interface. Coming in May, you see down in the orange, the API class. We're going to have a one-to-many connection from a digital interface, which represents the design level. We're going to be able to connect to those API classes that represent real instances, real operational view of the APIs manifesting. There's also application service. Infrastructure that makes up an API is still aligned via the application service. And that little relationship shown between application service and API is not formally prescribed yet by CSDM. We expect it to be, but it makes sense. I have a deployed stack. It's an application service. And one of the facets of it is the API coming off of it, but the app service still is where you map your infrastructure to whatever it might be. We've got links for all of this operational stuff. I don't want to spend a lot of time there today, but the big point I want to get across is we're tying the whole model together. Coming in August, we're going to be able to tie in SDLC component, which represents the configuration that drives, that gets deployed to create that API. So some of these down, especially at the operational level, could change, but across the top, the things in blue and teal, that's the core model. Digital interface to digital integration, another digital interface to business application. The subscriber digital interface is optional, as are the business applications on each end.
Okay. This is still a little bit confusing. I think to conceptualize it, do you have some examples that we could show?
Sure, Rob. Let's walk through a couple. So go ahead and hit next. So we got the idea of, we have a business application, ServiceNow, and really this is Workday. So here at ServiceNow, we use Workday for managing our employee profiles, requesting time off, that sort of thing. And so ServiceNow and pretty much all the other applications in the company need to pull that employee profile data. So ServiceNow has an integration. Active Directory is going to have a dependency on it. Other is going to have a dependency on it. So Workday has a digital interface. ServiceNow has digital interfaces. This is integration hub. And then we create the integrations. And here you see the same pattern over and over. Active Directory has particular interfaces for consuming and inputting data. The integration is shown there in the middle. But in all these cases, we are consuming that digital interface, that API that Workday publishes for consumption. Next. So here we have general ledger. So we have accounts receivable, we have our general ledger. Accounts receivable needs the general ledger accounts in order to do its business. So it's got an API. Go ahead and click through there, Rob. Just make everything show up. So we have a digital interface from general ledger accounting for accounts receivable. Accounts receivable also has an API or an interface for consuming that data. It also has an interface to consume sales and marketing transactions so that we can go out and do the collections. Here we've also modeled the I think there's one more click. Try. Yeah, there we go. One more. There we go. Now it's lining up. Sorry about that. We didn't quite get our animations done right. So the accounts receivable here, we're showing how that new operational view might line up. Accounts receivable business app has its production instance. It's got APIs for consuming general ledger and also for consuming the sales information. And then we see that the APIs are each tied to the digital interfaces. Next. And go ahead and click on through till it all shows up. So this is another just really simple one. ServiceNow CMDB. The people that are involved with ServiceNow and ITOM operations, working with CMDB and discovery, it's pretty familiar. You might have Tanium, you might have SCCM, and that's where you bring in your Microsoft and your Apple-based system info. We've got Integration Hub again and the IRE, which are there to consume that information. Logically, CMDB is consuming Tanium, it's consuming SCCM, but here's a set of integrations that illustrate it. We don't show the operational aspects of it, but that hopefully it makes sense what we're doing. That's our model.
Does that help? No, those examples really do help. But yeah, maybe next you could bring us through a demo.
Sure. Switch the screen here. And here we go. So it is evident digital integrations and digital interfaces show up in enterprise architecture workspace. They're found in the portfolio section.
We're not seeing your screen yet, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Much better.
Sorry about that. Okay. So digital integration, digital interfaces are seen in enterprise architecture workspace. That's our one-stop UI for everything APM nowadays. But also, it's also here under application portfolio management, application portfolio, digital interfaces, digital integrations. Two tables that provide the capabilities for us. So here I have a digital interface. So I kind of start at that API or microservice level. I know I give it a name. It's assigned a number. I can put versioning information. I have the standard CSDM life cycles. Even though this is not a CI, we're adopting the CSDM life cycles. We have the middleware used. Model ID is actually the middleware. Interface type open, meaning that anybody could consume it. A partner, that's a B2B type integration, and then internal only, meaning it's just for powering internal systems. That can be expanded. I've seen some changes there. Again, they can be a hierarchy of these interfaces. or APIs. Ownership, who owns it on the business side, IT side, supported by individuals, supported by group. Functional, what sort of protocol, REST, SOAP, LDAP, FTP, etc. Message format, JSON, XML, CSV, etc. Authentication type, basic auth, certificate, LDAP, etc. And then authorization type, SAML token, OAuth tokens, etc. And then finally at the bottom, our subscribers, the digital integrations, child APIs or digital interfaces, and our architectural artifacts. So driving into a digital integration, again, what this is representing is this application, attendance payroll management system, is consuming via MuleSoft and the MuleSoft API, the HR self-service system, is providing some data for attendance and payroll. So the provider digital interface, that was what we were just looking at, MuleSoft. There's the business app that was providing it. I don't have a subscribing side digital interface, but if it existed, I could model it. And subscribing business application, that's my attendance. Again, the type, data integration, process integration, user interface integration, could be all of these. I see this get extended quite a bit in the field to represent particular types. Again, versioning, CSDM life cycles, and if there's some business unit level ownership, we specify the business unit here. Down here in functional, the data flow direction, outgoing, incoming, bidirectional. Trigger, is it manual? Is it scheduled, process driven, event driven? If it is scheduled, what's the schedule? Response, synchronous, asynchronous, interaction, pub sub, guaranteed message, push pull, and then again the middleware. And finally, our architectural artifact and the information objects. Just to reiterate, information objects is also, I believe it's in the May release, is going to show up over on the digital interface. So on the interface, that would be the whole set of information that is presented by the interface, the API. This would be the subset of information consumed by this integration. All in all, this is a pretty simple model. When you create these, if we go into one of these business applications, and we go to dependency view, you see I have HR self-service, I have attendance and payroll. Here is that interfaced by interfaces auto-created CI relationship. So that way dependency gets picked up here at the design level. It makes for a nice view.
Actually, we've got our CMDB API
yes.
classes.
Thank you for reminding me. So I wanted to call this out again. I mentioned it a while ago. Back in September, the CMDB team and the platform data team released a new set of CI classes for APIs. It's documented up on the community. We'll be providing links to that. But if you go look for the CMDB, basically what you do is you update your core CMDB classes, and you'll get these API packages. We'll have a replay of this later this year as we improve and extend our interaction with these CI classes. But I just want you to know that they're out there. Next.
All right. All right. So before we get to our questions, we did want to mention that we do have a couple other resources out in the world. So there's a community post that describes the use cases and custom implementations that led to digital integration management. And we're going to have a what's new post on digital integration management available out on the community.
Yeah, and we will also, Rob and I will be publishing another article. It's not there yet, but we'll get a link when we post this document. We're going to add a link to it. Hopefully, get it done next week. We'll have a new post. Watch out for it in the APM community forum, um, which will meant to be kind of everything digital integration management.
Thank you very much, Mark. That's a great job answering all of those questions that came in. Did want to just point folks to some additional resources we have. Obviously, we've got our ServiceNow Impact team that's out there. Learn more on the community. Got training and certification. So again, here's a link to our training and certification guide. And then finally, expert services is available, and they have a community to potentially help you be successful in your implementation of APM and digital integration management. All right. So just want to thank everyone for your time. There will be a brief survey that you'll receive afterwards. We really would appreciate if you'd be able to fill that out. Let us know how we can do better with these, or what you think went well. And as I mentioned, any questions we did not answer live, we will be posting a community post that will then will submit those answers and post answers to those questions as well. All right. Thanks,
Thank you all.
everybody, and have a great day.
Great day.